Hey there YouTube, Double Slasher here, coming to you with a deck profile on my Ezel deck. I've been getting a lot of requests on Facebook and as well as on YouTube for my deck list. So here we go. For my starting Vanguard, it's Karya. It's, what's the name? Scarlet Line Cub, Karya. Some people like to run Criff or the generic Rate Researcher, and I think there's a, I forgot the name, but there's a specific 5K starter that searches specifically for Ezel, but I don't like Rate Researchers. And also this the skill of the Karya is way better, because if it boosts an Ezel unit and it hits the Vanguard, you can put this to Soul and look at the top 2 cards of your deck and superior call any gold paladins you get there at rest on open rearguard. So basically this is a free judge bow, but it has to hit the Vanguard, and your only option is to look at the top 2 cards of your deck. And if you always get a trigger, you can always you don't have to superior call it, and you just put it at the bottom of your deck. But actually this has a hidden purpose I'll get to later. So the trigger lineup, well, 8 crits, 4 of which is Flame of Victory. I'll tell you later why the importance of Flame of Victory is, but it's the generic move to Soul from rearguard and select 1 unit and plus 3k. And for the other crits, it's vanilla crits, and I just like to run 1 of each Liberator crits. Then we have 4 stands for Catch Gull. I know some people like to run draws, but let me tell you now, this deck doesn't need any draws. I'll get to later. And the skill of Catch Gull is, when this card is called from your deck to your rear guard, you can put it to the bottom of your deck, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, superior call 1 unit and shuffle. Return the rest to your deck and shuffle. So basically, you know, gold paladins have a tendency to call randomly, and if you manage to hit this card on your top card, or top 3, top 4, top 5, whatever, this is basically a second chance to get a better unit. And of course, 4 heals. And I really like Elkia's Heart. I don't think there's any better heal with the better art for gold paladins than her. For the grade 1s, I run 3 mail guns. This basically when called on rear guard, Soul Blast 2 and flip to Counter Blast. This is why Flame of Victory is a bit important, because if you need the Counter Blast, and you can power up your rear guard a bit, and as well as pull off a counter Soul Blast. Because this deck doesn't necessarily run out of soul, but the way I run it, you will be eating your soul all day, and you're most like, and the deck really eats a lot of counter blasts, and so you need this. And of course, the new Perfect Guard, I forgot the name. It's Raideri. So this is the new Perfect Guard that it flips damage. Like I said, the deck really eats a lot of counter blast, and this is really a good card for the deck. Not only well, it only protects the Vanguard, so be careful of maybe Dragonic the end, or Dragonic Overlord the end, or the X, where it's basically just the end as well. So this is really a good perfect card for this deck, and like I said, the deck eats a lot of counter blast, so you really need as much as unflippers as possible. Then for Golbadox, basically the stride fodder of the, you discard this, and it counts as plus 2 grade, so it becomes a grade 3 for strides for G units, and it's great. I don't really the deck. I'll say it now. I don't run any Gurgit. this is just basically in here for strike fodder. And right now the Ezel deck really is focused on striding. And my last grade 3 is 3 White Lion. This skill is, if you have an Ezel Vanguard, Counterblast 1, move the top card of your deck to the soul and look at the top card of your deck, put it on your damage, and on your end phase, return 1 damage back to your deck. No matter, regardless of it's face up or face down. Now, this was useful back when you limit break format and you were running Grand Scissor, because it eats Counterblast as well as Soul. But the reason why I run this is not because of Grand Scissor. It's because the Ezel deck has no Legion support, and you need to return as much triggers as possible, or any useful units you got on your damage as much as possible. So this is the second best thing, and as well it's a 7k booster, and as well, and it also, like I said, you're gonna need a lot of Counterblast, so what better way to fill up the soul with this than with this? So you can use Mailgun later. So yeah, White Lion. So I've been trying to replace this with the Ezel 10k grade 1 4, but haven't tested very well for me. For the grade 2 lineups, for Magnimigus, the generic 12k attacker, if you have an Ezel on your Vanguard, this is better than running those 12k attackers that has Generation Break 1. Excuse me. I don't really like Generation Break units because it's very slow, and if you can't stride, it's basically a vanilla. So this is I think everyone knows that Magnimigus is a must for any Ezel deck. So okay, and like I said, I don't really like Generation Break 1 units, but this one is very useful, and it's a key component of the deck. For Piwil, Holy Mage Piwil, that's how I pronounce it, so I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but that's how the way I say his name. His skill is Generation Break 1. When this unit attacks the Vanguard and it's boosted, Counterblast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and Superior Call 1 unit among them and shuffle. Return the 2 remaining cards to your deck and shuffle. Now, this is basically Vivian's replacement for the deck for Gold Paladins, or if you're running Liberators, you replace this for Eskrad, because you now have an option to, instead of the top card, you have an option to look at the top 3, so you have better Superior Calling. And this unit doesn't need to call a unit to an open rearguard, so I'll get to that later for some combos. And for my last grade 2s, 1 Blaster Dark Spirit and 2 Blaster Blade Spirit. Well, this is a weird selection, especially the one-off Blaster Dark. Originally, I thought the Blaster Dark could retire grade 1 or grade 1 units or less if it's in the back row. Unfortunately, it only retires grade 2 below units in the front row. And Blaster Blade Spirit, it's basically here because the deck, unlike before, Ezel struggles from Superior Calling. But now, because of the G units, it's very easy, as well as this one, Piwil. So you can get to these 3 better. I originally ran the Maran, the Liberator unit. If she was called from the deck, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck to get 1 grade 3. But like I said, I don't really like grade 3 searchers much because it's very random, and actually I don't really need much grade 3 here because of the strike fodder, Golbadok. Oh yeah, Golbadok. So if you don't know the skill of this basically, if you Superior Call this from your deck, and you can, this Blaster Blade, you can Counterblast 1 excuse me, and to retire a grade 2 above unit in the front row, while Blaster Dart retires grade 2 below units in the front row. This is why it's not very useful, but just like for the single tech. Excuse me. And for the grade 3s, it's for Ezel Grand Scissors. Excuse me, see me coming down with a flu. And for Platina Ezel. Now, some people ask me why don't I run Blonde Ezel. For the simple reason is it's a 10k Vanguard. I don't really like this format. If you run a 10k Vanguard, you're gonna be severely punished by it. Oh yeah, I forgot. The other reason why I run this 3 spirits unit is because it's a 10k grade 2. There's not much great 10k grade 2 outside of the vanillas, and this is a very good card to ride if you're going first. Now, Grand Scissor is Limit Break. Excuse me. This is a Limit Break 4, and you can Counter Blast 2, Soul Blast 2, unlock all of your rear guards, and if you have 5 or more 5 rear guards, when you use this skill, it gets 10,000 power and 1 crit. Excuse me. And its second ability is if this card attacks and it gets 1,000 per rear guard you have. So it's really versatile because it gets 1,000 power per rear guard, and it can push for a lot of games, and well, back then, but now it's just okay. And if you're facing a lot of Link Jokers, Glendios, and the new Messiah archetype for Link Joker, this is your worst nightmare, because you're not gonna do anything to your deck if you ride this. And for the other grade 3 is Platina Ezel. Of course, this very few units, it's Limit Break 5, which we call Ultimate Break. And if you Counter Blast 3, all of your rear guards get 5,000 power. And now you know why I run this 3. It's because this is very Counter Blast heavy, and sometimes I can do 2 Ultimate Breaks in 1 turn to finish it off if I have Mailcat in my hand. And this is basically a finisher, and if you have Blonde Ezel in your soul, this gets 2,000 power, which I don't. So it's the cross ride's useless. So what you're really after is the plus 5,000 for all rear guards. This is basically a finisher, so you don't have to stride on your final turns, or if you can't stride and you need to finish the game, it's very useful. Back then, this one was subpar because the Ezel struggles from Superior Calling. But now, thanks to the strides, you can call with ease, and as well as P-Will, the Holy Mage. Okay, as for my G units, of course, we're going to run for Misreal Ezel. What basically this do is you Counter Blast 1, unflip another copy of this from your G zone, and look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Superior Call one of those, shuffle your deck, the remaining cards, shuffle to your deck, and this unit and that unit you Superior Call gains the original power of both of that unit. So this is basic, in my opinion, the best G unit for Gold Paladins right now, even though it's restricted to an Ezel. Oh yeah, you can only use this skill if your heart is an Ezel unit. So let's say if you're not running Ezel deck, this is basically a vanilla stride. You need an Ezel heart in order to use this ability. And like I said, this is one of the very best Gold Paladin strides right now, G units, because let's say if you call a Blaster Dark, if you call this one from your top 5, and it basically gains the original power, so it's now a 20,000 Vanguard, 20,000 rear guard, and this one is, when you strike, it's a 26k, right? So it also gains blaster, the superior call units, so it's now 36,000 unboosted. That's how good this unit is. And yeah, that's basically how you run this one. And oh yeah, I keep forgetting. The most basic, the first skill is, if you use this skill, unlock all of your rear guards. Unlike Grand Sister, where you need to have, well, you only gain the plus 10,000 plus 1 crit if you have 5 rear guards. This one doesn't care. After you unlock all your rear guards, you look at the top 5. Unlike this one, where you need, after unlocking, it checks your rear guards. So this is one of the cards that I was talking about, how Ezel now has a support for superior calling. It's basically what Blonde Ezel and Grand Sister combined into one card, and you don't randomly call from your top card. Instead, you look at the top 5. And what the best combo I have with this is superior calling Magnemigus. So it gains 9,000, right? And this one gains 9,000 both if you superior call this from the top 5. Now, when this card attacks, it also gains its ability, so 3,000. So it's unboosted. It's at 21,000 magic number. So if you put a booster behind it, it's all plus. Well, not really plus, but you get the idea. And finally, I run my other G units. I run 4 Spear Cross Dragon. Now, some people question me on why I run 4-4, because, well, Spear Cross skill is counter black. When you strike this unit, you have to pay. This is an auto skill. Upon striking this unit, you have to pay 2 counter blasts, unflip 1 Spear Cross from your G zone, face up, and look at the top 5 cards of your deck. And per face up card in your G zone, you get to superior call 1 unit on open rear guard. So basically, what I like to do with this combo is, on my first stride, I'm gonna use Misrael Ezel. So I flip 1 G zone face up. On end phase, I have 2 face up. On my next turn, I strike Spear Cross, and upon using its skill, I now have 3 face up. I now have 3 face up cards in my G zone, so I can superior call 3 cards. And that's unlike any Gold Pound Index, Ezel can really utilize Spear Cross, because on your second stride you can basically call 3 units, unlike where you use this on some generic, you run Campbell, and at the end of the turn you only have 1 face up G zone, and if you use this next turn, you can only superior call 2 units, because you're only gonna have 2 face up units, unless you wait for another turn where you get the idea. Now for my combo. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. The reason why I run 4 Spear Cross is because my meta right now is filled with Kagero and Shadow Paladin. And you know how those decks likes to retire your rear guards. So I need as many superior calls I can get as possible. And oh yeah, and since this card eats 2 counterblasts, makes Mailgun even better. Since if you manage to get this from your top 5, it's basically a free superior call, if you have soul anyways. And that's basically it. That's my deck profile. And for my combos, now I'll tell you. Yeah, I've already told you, the deck likes to superior call a lot, and you basically lose no card advantage even if you're facing Kagero. This is why I run Catch Go. It's because not only does it refreshes your superior call as a chance, but also remember this one calls units. It basically, if you use this, the unit you call has its power doubled. So if you, let's say, attack with this one first at 20,000, then attack Vanguard and you drive check out the stand trigger. Now you stand this unit and it's now at 25,000. Even better with Bagdemagus, because Bagdemagus is at, like I told you, it's at, if you call this with Mr. Ezel, it's at 21. Now if you got a stand trigger, now it's 26 unboosted. So your opponents will always waste at least two 10k shields, or one 15k and one 20k shield, just to block Bagdemagus. Assuming you get the stand trigger, which is very easy now that you can filter your deck thanks to this card and as well as this one. I can always get triggers because the deck likes to filter a lot, to the point that you know you're gonna get a trigger from your drive check. Also, another combo here is this one. Basically, let me just set up my field. Yeah, like this. Let's say this is my field. I attack with this one. Let's say I manage to speaker call this with Mr. Ezel, so it's now pushing for 21. I'm not gonna use my back row to boost this because it's pushing for 21 alone. So this now gains 9,000. It's now attacking for 40,000. Now, when I drive check, let's say I managed to pull a stand trigger. So I stand this one. Now it's now at 26,000. Now I attack for 26, and if it is still alive, then I use this. Let's say this one. This one. As a character class 1, I look at the top 3, and this one doesn't need, like I said, this unit doesn't need to call us on an open rear guard. So I get the call. I put the Bagdemagus in the drop zone, and I get the call. Now I attack. What I basically did is I managed to pull off 5 attacks in one turn, 3 attacks of which are more than 20,000. It's very deadly, and I have very few opponents have managed to survive those kind of turns, and those who do always manage to pull a trigger. So that's Vanguard. Yeah, and another caution I should point out is because the reason why I don't run draws is because the deck is really fast to deck out because of just this G units. Like there's no draw in this deck because I've already seen that this deck really gets to deck out a lot. So let's say, okay, first strike, end turn, face up. So you have 2 face up. Next turn you strike this one, and I strike this one, and you pay for. You get 3 units for free, and if they manage to retire those, next turn, if you strike this one and pay for its cost again, you can superior call up to 5. So yeah, it's really irrelevant, pointless for, let's say, Kagero to retire entire rear guard, so you can basically replace those. At the same time, the only time I lose to Kagero these days is by deck out, because unlike Ezel, Ezel has no Legion support, so it can't return cards to the deck. Whereas Kagero has Dotex and the Great, as well as Dragonic Burnout, so they can keep on legioning and returning triggers and units. So if they prolong the battle, you're gonna lose. And this deck is very fast and superior calling and gaining card advantage that you're not gonna realize it, but you're decking yourself out fast. So you have to finish the games before that happens. And that's basically it. That's my deck profile on Gold Paladins. I don't know anymore what to say, but yeah, this deck is some people underestimate this right now because it's Ezel, but what they don't realize is because of the G units, the deck is very fast right now, and you can really put the hammer hammer down your opponent, and they don't never expect it. And with Link Joker, excuse me, with Link Joker rising up, all the more better to run Ezel, because unlike Liberators, you have to run Monarch Alfred, whereas the Gold Paladins, the Ezel one variant, you can basically screw with Link Jokers. So that's basically it. Thanks for watching.